everyone, and welcome back to Sugarpienellie. So, I have already used a lot of this. You can see behind me is oregano. I have already used so much of it for making tinctures, salves. I have even made some oil by taking the leaves. It's so simple. You just take those leaves and cover them with olive oil, avocado oil, store them in a dark cabinet or pantry for about 6 to 8 weeks, and then just strain it. And then it is so good to cook with that. It's just like an infused oil. You can cook with that. You can dip breads in it. It's delicious. I have just got done making all of that, and I still have a whole shebang of oregano. Now, we actually got 2 spots of oregano on our homestead. We have some that I actually grow in raised beds, and that's what I do most of my tinctures and stuff with. And then this is actually close to my chicken coop. I don't think you can see that in the video, but my chicken coop is nearby. It doesn't quite reach the coop, but I like having oregano nearby just to give them little pinches and treats from time to time. It is excellent for your chickens. It's so healthy for them. So not in large amounts, but very small amounts. You can pinch that off and give that to them as treats. And what I like is that it is so close by, I can just pinch that off and give that to them. So in this, I have oregano, and then I also have sage, which also can be given to them. So the chickens has got to have their own little garden too, right? But sometimes when I want to make a little extra at the very end, after I'm done with all of that, I like to take a little bit and snip some of the extras, and I dehydrate those in my dehydrator and go ahead and make my oregano spice that I will use to cook with in dishes throughout the year. All of that will be good for 6 to 12 months. So in other words, you've got a spice to season with all the way until next summer, until you harvest it again. So I'm going to get busy snipping, and then I'll show you how to dehydrate this. It's very simple, very easy. There's no sense in you going to the store. Those little oregano bottles that's organic, those can be a little pricey, okay? They're really getting up there. And there's no sense in paying that and having that when you got that right here to do and have that up in the cabinet ready to use in your pasta sauces and your soups, whatever. I just take out a strainer like this. You can use a bowl, a pot, whatever you got, and I just snip down, and then I will take the majority of this. I'll leave a tad bit for the chickens, and then go ahead and harvest some of that rest of that and get that dehydrated. Okay, so what I like to do is on this, you can just grab you up a handful of your oregano like this. And I like to snip it down to about 1 to 2 inches. Now, you can take it down a little further. Some do like to go all the way down. I prefer to leave just a little bit on there, just so I'll have a little bit for the treats for the chickens. And so I'll just take it about like that. And there you have it, about like that. I love oregano, and you can use it for so much. And then talking about the health benefits for the chickens, this is like a natural warmer for them. And there is so much that you can do with herbs, you guys. I don't know if you know, but like the old timers, they would never even use all these pesticides and stuff in with their chickens and like their chicken coops, the nesting boxes. They would actually take mint and things like that, fresh mint, lay them out in your chicken nest, and it's a natural pesticide and will keep bugs out of your nest. There is so much that you can do with herbs. Okie doke, so let's take these inside and I'll show you how easy it is to get these dehydrated. Okay, before we go in, I just want to show you, this is the one in the garden bed that I've already trimmed down. for this year. I've been using this for tinctures and salves and things. So this one I kind of like to keep protected in the garden bed. Beside it, this is sage, and then over here is lemon balm. So anyways, these are the ones that I kind of like to protect into this raised bed, and then we have all the extras over by the chicken house. Okay, so the first thing that you want to do is rinse off your oregano. I just like to spray it off really well, just to make sure that there's no bugs or anything like that. You have to really rinse good and make sure there's no bugs that crawled up in there and things, because we want the spice, we don't want the bugs. Also, ever so often you want to be careful, because up under the leaves, sometimes little spiders like to get in there, and you'll see like little cobwebs that's been created on a few of the leaves. So giving it a good rinse is always a good thing to do. Okay, so for today, I am using the Kazori Dehydrator. This is perfect for small homesteads, you know, not non-big commercial use or anything like that, but if you're just a homesteader wanting to put a few things back for your family, this is a great beginner dehydrator that you can have, or just if you are a small homestead. It comes with these racks already when you get it. And then it does come with a few of these little mats that you can put things on. I actually went the extra mile and through Amazon, they have these little silicone mats. It says Bright Kitchen. That is the non-stick sheets. This is great because if you have little small leaves of the oregano and everything, it's going to fall right through these little holes here on this grate. So you're going to want something to kind of keep that in place. And these work amazing. So let me show you how to get these prepped up. Okay, so what I like to do is get you a sprig of oregano. And then I like to just kind of dry it in between, give it a good pat in between paper towels. You can let that air dry for a few minutes if you want to, but I just go ahead and do it like this, because by the time that you remove all of the leaves, it's good and dry. Trust me. So you can just take it like at the top like that, and I just kind of pick them off. If they're a little damp, sometimes it's hard for them to come off. But you do want to put those all over your mat, and you don't want them to be overlapping or anything. So just a single layer. And then I lay all the sprigs and stuff to the side because the chickens can eat those as well. So you just basically take the leaves off and spread all over the mat here. And I'll do the whole entire sheet like this. Boy, you can smell that too. I love the smell of oregano. And then lemon balm I had out there too. I found, I think, one sprig of that I had mixed up in there with that. But you can smell that a mile away. You know it's lemon balm. And then, but a lot of times, once this has dried, you can take it from the top and just run your fingers down it, and it will remove the leaves really easily for you. And if it's a little damp, I'll just pinch them off. So I am just gonna finish filling up these trays, and that way I'm not gonna bore you to death by sitting here doing this. It is a little bit time consuming getting them all on the trays, but pretty much once you do, the machine does all of the work for you. And so you don't have to do anything. You can set it and forget it. Get up the next morning, you've got a dried spice, and you can put that right into your little spice jar. So I'm gonna finish these up, and then I'll show you exactly how to set the dehydrator up once this is complete. Okay, so once you get the trays filled, we're just gonna slide them into the machine. And this one came with like a little tray like this. You can also use. Had one of those. And then normally a basket full, or that was like a strainer full of oregano, that normally gives me around 4 sheets of these. And then now I did want to mention that when you are pressing these in between a paper towel, you do want to make sure that you do that for each one. Don't get lazy and just throw them on the mat anyway, okay? Because if it's sopping wet with water or anything like that, they could mildew or mold in the machine while they're dehydrating. So you do want to make sure that you press each one. They don't have to be completely dry, but they can be damp by pressing them into the paper towel like that. And then normally the instructions I'm going to give you on this is what works for me, but normally if you will find any type of recipe on how to do this, they will tell you to dehydrate this for around 2 to 4 hours. I have found that mine takes around 6 hours. So, and that's probably because they're a tad bit damp beforehand, but that's okay. It just makes it easier, and then you don't have to wait a whole day for those to dry. So for this, you're going to put the temperature. I like to keep mine at around 105 degrees, and you will press that for the temp, press it again for the time, and I'm going to put mine up to around 6 hours and then start. Now, what I will do is if you're doing this later in the evening, right before bed or anything like that, this I normally just let run all night. But it's in the middle of the day this time for the video. But if I am leaving it like that overnight, I will go ahead around 3-4 hours, go ahead and just take a peek and see how they're doing. But if they don't automatically, when you pick up these leaves and you go to do this with the leaves in your fingers and try to crumble them, if they are kind of feeling just a little bit more rubbery instead of dry and crumbly, then you know that you need to set this for another hour or 2 and try again. So I found that for me, 6 hours is the magic number for the 4 trays. And of course, I'm used to my machine and used to how I do it. So this is normally my go-to. It's like this precise every time. So once it's done, let me show you what it looks like. So once it's done, I like to store mine just in an airtight jar like this for my spices. But once it's done, I left a few big pieces on here to show you kind of what it looks like. But that should crumble very easily in your fingers. And do you see how fine that can get in there? And then I do leave some of the little bit of the bigger ones on purpose, just because it does great in soups and stews, and it looks so pretty like in your pasta sauces and things like that. Tomato sauce, if you are seasoning your own, say diced tomatoes with a little basil, a little bit of onions, things like that, it looks so pretty in the jar. So out of that 4 trays, this is what I get. So as you can see, that's 1 colander full of oregano. 4 trays equals about a half pint. So, but there's no sense in just letting that sit out there when this will be probably, normally 2 to 3 of these is all I need for all year long, especially if you're canning with it. Now, if you are doing multiple batches of, like, say, the seasoned tomatoes, things like that, you may want a little more. But for me and my household, about 3 of these will do us all year. So, but there is no sense in that. And you think, well, that's not a lot, you know, to buy at the store. Well, that's about 18 bucks right there. And then you think about doing this spice, like sage, there's another 18 bucks right there. Cayenne pepper, okay, there's another about $18 to $20 right there. They add up over time, and before you know it, all these seasonings that you're buying, you're paying hundreds of dollars a year for just spices that is sitting right there in your garden. So if you want to save a little bit of money, just think about, okay, well, that's a few $100s a year on spices. Big deal. Well, to some people, that's a big deal, right? They could pay their, what? House insurance, car insurance, whatever. A few $100s saved on spices could very well work in your favor. I don't know your budgets, but I'm just saying that if you are a beginner starting out, you're looking for friendly ways to budget your income and things like that, start making your own little spices out of some of the things that you have. Start creating a little bit of these extra surplus that you have and giving that to your chickens and things like that for extra feed. You are saving on feed costs as well. There is so much that even just little bitty herbs can do. And you can do it whether you are at home on a big old farm, if you are in an apartment and all you got is a little bitty balcony where you can grow maybe a few things in pots on your back deck, grow some herbs. You can do so much and save so much with just that. So thank you for tuning in today. If you got any questions on dehydrating, feel free to put them down in the comments or message me at sugarpienellie@gmail.com. You guys have a very blessed day, and I'll see you next time here on Sugar Pie Nellie.
Jelly.